How's it going, everybody? It is finally that time of year again. The EDC lineup's out. I got it right in front of me right here, and man, this is always such an exciting time. I always feel like this is like the beginning of the festival season for me. This is always one I usually always pull up to every year. I'm in LA, it's in Vegas, it's, you know, it's just right down the street. So what we're gonna do, you know, if you've seen the title, you know what I'm gonna do. We're gonna review this lineup. Obviously, there are too many artists to review this entire thing. That will take forever, so I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of a skim over all of my favorite artists and, you know, recommend some people to check out. And as always, you know, if there isn't anyone I mentioned that you guys want me to check out, drop it in the comments below. I really appreciate it. I always like listening to new music, so drop something down below if I didn't mention it. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. And as always, if you guys do like the content, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and it would mean the world to me. But like I said, let's get right into the review. Alright, as I said before, I'm not going to mention every artist on this lineup because it is just ridiculously long. I feel like this is getting to like Tomorrowland vibes. But we're going to start off with Acraze back-to-back Cream. And this is an interesting one because I feel like Acraze is like a lot of like hypey kind of house, you know, like kind of tech house, bass house, you know, kind of in your face. And then Cream is really like, you know, laid back melodic house. And so I'm really interested to see what this back-to-back is going to be, if they're going to do a little bit of half and half, or if one of them is going to kind of work with one of their styles a little more. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting one. Moving on, we have another house act, Andrus, I think it's pronounced. Personally, I just discovered this guy, and he is ridiculous. He's throwing down some nasty Latin tech house. I've just been getting into a little more Latin tech house, so that shit goes stupid. Make sure you check that out if you haven't before. Moving on, we have Anger Fist. This is for the hardstyle heads out here. I'm sure you guys have heard of him already. I mean, he's been going since probably like 2015, even further back before that. But I'm not too much of a hardstyle head, but I will say Anger Fist goes crazy. And there are probably one or two other artists that, you know, are on this list that are hardstyle artists that I would recommend because, you know, I still respect it. I definitely still respect it. It's just a little bit too much for me every now and again. I can't go through like a whole set. I'll probably pop in for 20 or 30 minutes and then go somewhere else. But moving on, we have AT-Aliens, and I'm so excited for this one. I mean, I'm excited every time I see them. I just saw them at Thunderdome. I just saw them at Lost Lands. I see them damn near at every big festival I go to. I usually try not to miss them. They just throw down everything from dubstep to rhythm to some experimental dubstep, mainly in the heavy bass category, but that's what I'm here for. If you guys watch the channel, you know we love the bass. And let's see, we're moving down. Finally, on the last little bit of the A's, we have Azeka, another kind of like tech house artist that I just discovered, and wow, she is just insane. I discovered a song from hers on SoundCloud, and then I saw her on the lineup and put two and two together, and yeah, that's going to be an exciting one. I would love to see that. Hopefully that would be a cool little daytime or a little sunrise set. Those would be amazing. Moving on, we have Before Dawn. I feel like a lot of people already know who this is, but they don't really mention it on the lineup. They kind of premiered it last year at EDC, which is Slander's kind of like techno alias, and they did it last year, I think at like 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning. It was a crazy time, and they did it at one of the art buses, and it was packed. I heard it was madness, but we didn't end up actually getting to go. We had just a whole bunch of complications on day 3. No need to even talk about it. But moving on, we have Boogie T. This is for, you know, the Wubs lovers out here. I definitely love Boogie T, and also he has some fire merch. That's just a little side note, nothing to do with his music, but every time he has a merch drop, that shit is heat. But he throws some crazy Wubs down, and I feel like every time he's at EDC, I feel like he goes a little bit harder than just like Wubs. I feel like he throws a little more bass into it, and I just feel like every time I go to his set, it's great. I don't usually plan to go there, I just end up there, and I always have a good time. Alright, following up, we have Carl Cox back-to-back Nicole. I think it's Maudaber, not entirely sure, but that's going to be probably a solid techno set. I know Carl Cox does a little bit of techno, tech house, but Nicole I'm pretty sure is just straight techno, so I'm sure that's going to be a little bit more techno heavy. Speaking of techno heavy, which is a lot of this lineup, we have Claws back-to-back Domina. That's gonna be nuts. I'm excited for that one. I would love, I feel like I'm gonna be at the techno stages this whole EDC, which I'm perfectly fine with, but that's not usually me. I'm getting into my techno era, I guess. I usually, you know, don't get me wrong, I love techno, just like I said. I love anything with some bass in it, but I usually just gravitate towards a lot more of the bass and then a lot more of the house, just because I love bass and I love house. Let's see. We have Crank That, speaking of bass, and I feel like he's just a run-of-the-mill, I mean, I wouldn't say run-of-the-mill, he's still fantastic, but he's a dubstep producer, and that's usually his main style. He usually just goes with dubstep, and he switches up a little bit in his sets here and there, but I would say mainly a dubstep producer, and he throws down some fire. So definitely check him out if you haven't. I'm sure you've already heard his songs before on TikTok or something, because he goes viral every time he drops some shit, which is just hilarious. Alright, moving on, we have Creeds and Helen Ka. I actually do not know who Helen Ka is. I need to check her out. Pretty sure it's a her. But Creeds is obviously that same TikTok viral song, you know, Push Up, which is a huge techno song. I'm sure that's going to be some heat. I haven't seen Creeds live before. I've only really seen that one song and haven't dug much deeper into him. So definitely need to check that out. Let's see. Moving on, we have Deborah DeLuca, a lot more techno. I'm telling you, these like past 4 or 5 artists have just been straight techno, and it's gonna be crazy. I don't know if it's just my eyes are opening more to it or what, but I just feel like there's so much. But all right, moving on, we have Deeper Purpose, which is a little bit more of a house vibe. I feel like they do a lot of really nice like remixes of like hip hop and R&B songs and throw it into a little bit of a house mix. Definitely a great set. I would recommend checking out. Moving on, as well as D-Vault, another great house set. Let's see, let's move it a little bit quicker because we're going a little slow. Let's see. We got Dom Dalla. I mean, I feel like Dom Dalla throws down a nasty set every time, and I just feel like he just needs a little bit more of a push. I mean, he plays international tours and shit, but I just feel like every time I pull up, it just needs like a little bit more of a visual experience, just something to give me that little more of a bump, because I love his music, but I just feel like something extra would just give that extra little oomph. But I'll probably still be there in all reality. All right, let's see. We got Eli Brown, and we also have Eli Brown back-to-back high-low. So I think in reality, Eli Brown's probably going to do a regular tech house set for that one, and then the back-to-back, he's going to throw down some nasty techno with high-low, because that's usually what high-low does. I don't think he really does anything other than techno. All right, we got Emorphic, his very first EDC. That's going to be an interesting. I wonder what the visuals are going to be like. I wonder how he, you know, prepares that set. That's going to be an exciting one. We've seen him blow up, honestly, from, you know, him being like 17 up until now. He has blown up on the scene. So it's super exciting to see him on the EDC Las Vegas lineup. All right, let's see. We got Eric Prydz. I've never been to an Eric Prydz set before. The only reason I honestly want to go is that like holographic set he does. Don't get me wrong, his music's good, but I just feel like it could, you know, it could just be a little more for me. That's just my opinion. Obviously still a gifted artist, and I have no judgment towards anyone who goes to see him, but it's just not really my cup of tea. All right, let's see. We got Gastly presents Gengar. This is kind of, Gastly is like kind of a bass house bass artist, but this is kind of like his, you know, Pokemon evolution vibe, where he goes a little dark and turns into Gengar. It's a lot more heavy bass, a lot more dark shit. Definitely would recommend it if you haven't seen it before, or if you haven't even seen Gastly before. Both of them, Gastly and Gengar, it's the same person. Goes hard as fuck. All right, we got Giuseppe Ottaviani, I think it is. I don't know. I'm butchering so many of these European names and stuff. I apologize, but I know he throws down some nasty techno, as well as Gravedigger. Probably going to be pulling up to both of those sets, which is why I'm just like, I'm going to be at the techno stage the whole time, but that's all good. I'm going to have a good time regardless. I just realized, excuse me, I skipped Fisher. Can't skip Fisher. Good time, tech house. Basically played all around the world, as well as Fortet. I mean, part of the nasty trio that went around going crazy on Instagram and TikTok and all that with Skrillex and Fred again. I don't think they're going to do that, because I don't see Fred again or Skrillex on this lineup, so it's probably just going to be a regular Fortet set. Haven't seen that before, but I'm sure it'll be something solid. A lot of probably house, throwing a little bit of country rhythm in there, I'm sure. All right, moving on, we have Hamdi. I feel like someone who's pulling up on the bass scene right now, who just needs a little more recognition, because it's a unique sound. It's that UK bass sound. I'm pretty sure he's from the UK. I apologize if not, European bass. But he just has the most gifted production, and it's just like he needs to get recognized more. I mean, he's been on EDC now the past 2 years, but I feel like just not too many people know about him. All right, let's see what else we got. We have Hedex, I think the first drum and bass artist I've really highlighted on this, and I love Hedex so much. He throws in some rhythm in his sets too. he just brings the energy. I still have not gotten to see him live. He played at Apocalypse, which is right here in Long Beach, which is literally like an hour away from me, and we just weren't able to get tickets, so had to miss him there. And yeah, I really hope we get to see him here at EDC. I hope there's no crazy conflicts, because it looks like there's going to be with this many artists. All right, we have Hivemind, which is Keizo, Space Laces, and Must Die. This set is going to be crazy. I feel like it's going to have some hard style. It's going to have some heavy dubstep. This shit is going to be a raunchy one. That's going to be crazy. I have nothing else to say other than that. I will be there for sure. I usually don't pull up to really Keizo or Must Die set solo, but them three together, I know them sounds just, they mesh. I'm going to be there for sure. All right, let's see. We have Hole. I feel like this is a little bit of an unpopular opinion maybe. I love Hole's music to death, but I just am not the biggest fan of his sets. Just the way he DJs is just not really my vibe. But I mean, his music is on another level. His sound is so unique too. You immediately know when a whole song's playing. That shit is disgusting. All right, let's see. We got Hugel, another Latin house DJ that I've been getting into lately, probably since like last year, and man, I have fallen in love with him. I feel like he throws down some nasty progressive house, he throws down some good tech house, like I said, some good Latin tech house, and that man's is just talented as a motherfucker. All right, let's see. We got Elenium. Man, it was funny when I was going through this lineup earlier. I kept bugging, being like, "What genre does he play?" But it's melodic dubstep. I kept thinking of some other word. I don't even know what it was. But he also tends to throw down some heavy bass in there. It just depends on, what set he plays. But I've definitely seen some crazy Elenium sets, and then I've seen some feel-good sets. It really just depends on the vibe. All right. We also have Jay Wara, another great tech house DJ. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say other than that. I would say I've seen him 2 or 3 times. I haven't had any complaints about it every time I've gone, so definitely recommend checking him out. I know he's one of the kind of a little bit of a smaller name, so if you haven't heard of him, 100% check him out. All right, let's see. We got Jessica Otterfried. This one, again, I feel like they lacked a little bit of bass this year, but I'm glad all the names that are here are big ones, and it's still going to be a crazy set for sure. Jessica throws the fuck down, and it's going to be a fun one. Moving on, we have John Summit and John Summit back-to-back Green Velvet. I know there's some controversy on John Summit right now, so I'm going to just move right on. If you like him, you like him. If you don't, you don't. I don't care. I got no opinion on it. Following that, we have Kaiwachi. I like this little section, a little bit of a bass section right here. And I know if you're in the bass scene, you don't really have to explain Kaiwachi or Jessica Otterfried. I feel like these ones are just the known names where it's just like, man, check out the set. It's going to be fire bass. If you don't know, heavy dubstep. It's going to be a great time. Following that, we have Keizo doing 2 sets. I actually didn't expect this from Keizo to get 2 sets at EDC, which is super dope. He has Keizo Unleashed XL, which is, I think, kind of going to be his set from his tour that he did this year. Not entirely sure, but we'll see. Following that, we do have Kiva. I love Kiva, but I probably won't be seeing her at this festival. I saw her at Electric Forest. I think it's a her, I'm sorry. I saw her at Electric Forest, and that was like the perfect set for me. In that festival, I feel like EDC is just a little more, I'm looking for something a little more hype, a little more bouncy for me. Following that, we have Kyle Walker. Again, another artist I just discovered. I have so many of his his songs liked on my SoundCloud, and I didn't even know. And he just dropped this new Lowrider remix. Check that one out if you haven't. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see. Moving on, we have Lady Faith, another highlighted hardstyle artist, which is kind of rare for me, but I do like Lady Faith. It is a good vibe. I would prefer something more like Anger Fist. I love Anger Fist. It's just kind of what I not grew up on, but kind of what I started listening to hardstyle, and my homies put me on a Lady Faith, so I always have a kind of home in my heart for Anger Fist, but Lady Faith goes stupid for sure. Definitely recommend checking her out if you're just getting into hardstyle, kind of like I am. Following up, we have Lays, which is one of my most anticipated artists. Every time this is at Thunderdome recently. This is the first time I actually saw her solo, not doing a back-to-back with anybody, and that shit was just fantastic. It was the visuals, the actual, the choreographedness of the set. It was just so well made, and it just flowed so well. I could say so many things about Lays. I will be at that set for sure. That one is one of my can't misses. Following up, we have Lost Frequencyz. I feel like one of the OGs in the game. And also, I feel like he's been dropping some kind of new heat too. I feel like gives a little bit of like a Lane 8 vibe, some nice melodic house, or just kind of progressive house too. I definitely recommend checking them out as well. Following up, we have LS Dream, some experimental dubstep. I mean, I feel like if you just even read the name, you can already tell. You're just like, oh, he's gonna be a little bit wubsy. But if you don't know him, definitely check him out. He brings so much positivity to his sets, and it's always going to be just a feel-good time when you're there. Definitely recommend going to that set if nothing else is conflicting. Following that, we have Maddox moving back into the techno. This is going to be a fun one. I love Maddox so much. I feel like every single one of his songs he drops recently, it just is a hitter every time. All right. Following up, we have Matroda bringing it down into some more heavy bass. That's going to be a fun one. I haven't seen Matroda in probably like 6 to 8 months, so this one's another highly anticipated one for me. All right, now we're moving on to someone else named Matroda, not Matroda, and he's also going to be doing a back-to-back with San Pacho. Both of these sets, Matroda as a solo artist goes fucking crazy, and I know San Pacho's sets, he is a fantastic DJ, so them two together as a back-to-back, probably going to be one of the best house sets of the weekend, in my opinion. But I'm going to move on to this next row in a second, and I will have to say, there are some heavy hitting house artists, so I don't know, there's going to be some contenders. We have Mau P, which I feel like Mau P, I mean, some reason he gets haters, but he brings hitter after hitter on his new songs, and he's been established in the game for so long as somebody else, and he just decided to create a new alias and still go stupid. You can't do anything but respect him, in my opinion. All right, let's see. We got Noizu, and Noizu doing a B3B with West End and Melee. Like, that is gonna be crazy. So I know I just said that other one is probably going to be the best one of the weekend, but that one's going to be up there too. It's hard to decide. Same with Odd Mob and Om Nom doing their Hyper Beam set. They've gone back to back tons of times, but I guess they're hyping it up as their Hyper Beam set. I don't know what's going to be different, but I'm sure it's going to be crazy. And also Odd Mob's getting 2 sets too, which is actually super dope for him to see him getting put on and getting 2 sets. Following up, I feel like I probably won't be at this set, but Own Boss has like so many of those just same thing, those TikTok bangers that you hear it and it's so well produced, you just want to listen to it, you want to dance to it. Definitely want to at least check them out. I think it's a group, I'm not entirely sure, but I want to check them out for the first time. I haven't seen them live before, so that would definitely be one of the ones I want to check out. Let's see. We also got Rated R, who, again, just saw at Thunderdome as well. If you haven't checked out that vlog, definitely check out the Thunderdome vlogs. Those ones were crazy. The Day 3 vlog will probably be dropping right after this video, so be sure to stay tuned for that one. But Rated R went absolutely crazy. He opened on Day 3, and I feel like he just brings that heavy bass, too. It's just kind of like I wouldn't say, like, strictly, like, metal bass, but he brings in just some of that, like, not Sullivan King vibes, but just that heavy metal-y, vastive, heavy bass kind of vibe. I don't know how to explain it. Definitely check him out. Some good dubstep and a great DJ. I feel like he throws down a good live set. Following up, we have 7... Good Lord, I need some water or something. Following up, we have 7 Lines. Not really my type of music, but I feel like if I'm in the mood for trance, that's definitely in the playlist, and you cannot miss out on 7 Lines if you have not seen them before. The visuals, the music, it's definitely a vibe. It's just not really my vibe all the time. Like I said, I like something more high energy, but even still, they still throw down some heavy stuff, just like Illenium, where it's like you think it's a little bit only feel good music, but then they switch up out of nowhere and it blows your mind. All right, moving on, we have Shiba-san, another fantastic house artist, who I'm so excited to see for the first time. As long as pray to God that there's no set conflicts, but definitely is gonna be. I just hope that, you know, the house artists are in the day. I love house in the day, and then bass music at the nighttime. I feel like that's just the perfect flow. It makes you stay there from open to close at doors, but it's probably not gonna how it's gonna go. All right, moving on, we have Slander also doing 2 sets, just as 2 different names. Like I mentioned before, they are the Before Dawn. They're kind of doing that after hours, you know, techno, dark techno vibe. So definitely recommend checking both sets out. I feel like Slander's been doing a lot more like heavy bass in their sets, more as those feel good sets, which is just more my thing. But they definitely do a great mix of being able to switch up back and forth a lot of the time in the set. All right, moving on, we have Sophie Tucker. If I'm not mistaken, she is some great techno or tech house. I'm not entirely sure, but I know I've heard several of her songs before, and it's going to be a good set, especially it being a DJ set. I always love seeing any live DJ sets. That's just something I always, as a aspiring DJ, I can appreciate, because that shit just is, it's hard to do, especially in front of a bunch of people. You got to commend it. All right, moving on to another great live DJ. We have Subtronics and Subtronics doing a back-to-back with Level Up. Both of these sets, it's going to be crazy. I feel like Subtronics is just getting put into that next category of that mainstream level where it's just, he's getting booked at the Kinetic Field this year. He was at Circuit Grounds last year. He was at Bass Pod the year before. I feel like he's just upgrading year after year. And it was funny, when I saw the theme, the Kinetic Circle, I don't know why in my brain, I was just like, just gives Subtronics vibes, like Tesseract, Fractals, like, you know, how he's always doing those interesting shapes. It was just the brain was braining. But we have Subtronics and Subtronics back-to-back Level Up. Both of those are going to be absolutely nuts. Got to check those out. And that is Subtronics and Level Up's kind of first official back-to-back. I know they've done it at like Afters before, and they did it at Electric Forest as like a surprise set, but they only did it for like 30 minutes. I think this is their actual first like official one. I may be wrong. I mean, they've been, you know, DJing together for like 4 or 5 years, so I'm sure there's been another back-to-back. Following that, we have Sudden Death. I feel like I can't miss a Sudden Death every time I see him on a lineup. It's just one of those same ones where he plays so much of his original music, basically only his original music, and it just brings so much energy. You have to respect someone that only plays most of their own music, and it's just kind of different sounds most of the time, and it's just amazing. I feel like Sudden Death is one of just the most talented producers in the game right now. He's not a Satanist either, by the way. All right, following that, we have Tape B. Again, another gifted producer. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of like experimental dubstep, but this is one of the ones where I will 100% listen to any Tape B. His DJ sets are insane. He mixes so well. If you haven't checked out some of his SoundCloud mixes, definitely do that, because it is just wobbly. You be sitting there just squiggling. All right, moving on, we have Tiesto. And a lot of people have been saying, you know, this has been, you know, a common trend that Tiesto's fallen off and, you know, he's getting old. But I think it was an album. I don't know if it was his most recent album. I think it was in 2022 or 2021. But I listened to it, and it was honestly fantastic. It had probably 3 or 4 songs where I still listen to now. And it's just a really nice house vibe. Some great vocalists on it. Definitely recommend checking it out. If you think, you know, Tiesto's only got the old bangers, try and check out some of his new music. Following that, we have Timmy Trumpet, another one of those old heads that has just been in the game forever. And you gotta respect him too. I mean, he plays the trumpet live on stage, throws down some nasty hard style, throws down some Wubsy music too. Not entirely Wubsy music, but it's interesting. A lot of people don't know, and I might be wrong again. I feel like I spew out a lot of information, and sometimes I'm wrong, but most of the time I'm right. Don't worry. But he has an interesting edit of what is that one song? The Next Episode. There we go. I was blanking out. He does a great Wubsy edit of that song, and everyone's been playing it out lately. And I was surprised to find out that it was him who edited it. I might be wrong. I saw someone on Twitter commented, and I just believed it. Probably shouldn't do that. But let's see what else we got. We got Troy Boy. Another. I feel like this whole line right here is just established artists in the game. Another great artist I've been listening to for probably about 10 years now. They put me on to bass music, and I feel like I probably won't be showing up to his set, but man, there's that established like fan base that won't miss a Troy Boy set, and I don't mind ever pulling up, because it's honestly such a good time, and it brings me back to that old time when I was growing up listening to this shit, and that's, you know, really all we had. There was a few artists here and there that were really the only ones pushing the game, and he was one of them. All right, let's see. We got Valentino Khan. I feel like some great house. I feel like it's some good bouncy bass house. I feel like I've been falling out of touch with him a little bit, but I mean, he still has such a good discography. You can't go wrong with it. You definitely have to pull up to a set if you haven't before. All right, we see. We got Vintage Culture, another great house act. Would definitely recommend checking them out. We have Virtual Riot, fantastic bass. Again, not one of, like, I feel like he has a really interesting sound. A lot of people absolutely love him because he has just the way he samples music and stuff, and the way he produces is on another level, and I gotta respect it. But I feel like every now and again it's just a little bit too much for me. There's a little bit too much going on, but still an amazing artist, and you can't take that away from him. Following up, we have Vulgar, and it's funny, you know, don't listen to my opinion on any of these things because it holds no value. Don't worry, because I'm about to say I'm so excited to see Vulgar, and it sounds so stupid comparing, you know, saying that Virtual Riot's just like, and I'm so excited for Vulgar. It's just, I feel like I've been listening to Virtual Riot for so long, and I'm excited for a lot of the more newer artists that are coming up on the scene. But there's still no knock into any of the artists that, you know, I've been talking about here that I'm saying I'm probably not going to go to their set or anything like that. It's still all love to all these artists, and I still got all of them in my playlist, and I still got all love. All right. Like I said, Vulgar, super excited for, and I'm surprised that they're playing EDC again. I'm not sure if it's going to be an art car or if they're actually going to put him at bass pod this year. I really hope they put him at bass pod because they deserve it. And that would be an interesting one. Let's see. We got Will Clark, fantastic techno. I feel like I said, there's just been so much techno I've been getting into this year. I feel like I just see it more now. And yeah, I'm going to have troubles discovering more and more artists because I'm like, now I got more and more set conflicts. It's such an issue. All right, we got Wooly, who I feel like has just been doing fantastic lately. I feel like he's been making such a cinematic experience through his sets. At Lost Lands, I feel like he was one of the best sets of the weekend just because it felt like watching a movie. It was just fantastic music, obviously. But when you were watching the visuals and the songs, they all just flowed one into another, and it was just top tier. All right, let's see. We got Worship, which is, I've got to scoot up a little bit. The GoPro's blocking me. But it's Subfocus, back-to-back Dimension, back-to-back Culture Shock, back-to-back 1991. It's a B4B of drum and bass. That one is going to be filthy. I'm not, like I said, not a huge drum and bass person, but that one is one of the ones where I need to check out because it's something you're probably never going to see. It's a rare set. You got to always check those ones out where it's just those interesting B4Bs or B3Bs. You always need to check those out. All right, moving on, we have Wookie, who, man, I just love a Wookie set. The sad thing is, I feel like Wookie produces so much good music, but he just can't release it because he always is editing copywritten music and bootlegging music. It's just, it sucks. But man, if you go to an actual Wookie set, he plays it all out, and it is just fantastic. It is just nice and bouncy, super good hype house, and it's a good time. All right, let's see. To finish this off, we have Zedd, another established one in the game, and has still been, interestingly enough, he still, I feel like every year throws in a song where it's just like, damn, like Zedd made that? Like, okay, good for you, bro. All right, let's see. We got Zingara. I feel like not too many people have been knowing about her, but she's been coming up lately. I think she was one of the people to win the Excision Scholarship, where it was like, you know, you got like 10 grand and you kind of got a bunch of exposure and stuff. I'm not entirely sure. I might be mistaken on that, but she's kind of like, you know, a little bit of an experimental bass, but at the same time throws down some heavy bass at the same time. If you've seen her live, definitely a good time. Recommend checking her out. And to end this on my lineup review, like I said, whatever yours is, please feel free. If I missed anyone, feel free to recommend. But to end this off, we have Zomboy, another heavy bass artist that's been in the scene for a long time, and honestly, every time I pull up, can't complain. So if you haven't seen him before, definitely check him out. As always, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That was a lot of talking for me, so I need to go get some water and take a break. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace out, y'all.